Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our webinar today, Aligning and Advising for Education, Experience, and Employment. Today's topic is Career Conversations, Engaging K-12 Students at Every Stage. My name is Susie Burkhart. I'm sitting in today for Mitzi Holland. I'm a senior fellow at CPE, working alongside Mitzi with the Kentucky Advising Academy. We're excited to welcome our guests today, but I'll give you a quick overview of what to expect in today's webinar. This webinar is exploring how educators, counselors, and career development professionals can engage students in meaningful career conversations throughout their K-12 journey. Our expert panel, representing elementary, middle, and high school levels, will share practical strategies, age-appropriate approaches, and success stories that help students connect learning to life beyond school. So again, it's my pleasure to introduce our panelists. With us today is Lori Collard. Lori's the coordinator for technical education and career development for Meade County Schools, and Lori leads initiatives to strengthen career pathways, technical training, and workforce readiness for students. In her role, she works to connect education with industry needs, ensuring that students gain the skills and experiences necessary for success in high-demand technical fields. Before moving into education leadership, Lori spent 8 years as an engineering teacher, and prior to teaching, she built a strong foundation in industry with 15 years at General Motors. We also have with us today Laura Arnold, the Director of Next Gen Schools, and Melissa Case, the Director of Culture and Safety, both from Nelson County School District. Prior to working in Nelson County, Laura worked at the Kentucky Department of Education in the Office of Career and Technical Education. And prior to that, she served as a technology teacher, technology center principal, and classroom teacher. Melissa Case has taught in Fayette, Jefferson, Bardstown City, and Nelson County in middle and high school as a math and science teacher, media specialist, instructional coach, vice principal, principal, and currently serves as the Director of Culture and Safety. And last but certainly not least, we have Brent Kidwell. He is the Career and Technical Education Coordinator for Shelby County Public Schools. This is Brent's first year in his new role after spending 6 years in the classroom teaching science and CTE biomedical science courses at Martha Lane Collins High School. And he's passionate about educational leadership, and he is currently pursuing his EDD at the University of Louisville. As you can tell, we have a lot of experience in this group with a lot to share, and we're excited to hear about how they are engaging students in career conversations. As always, as we move through today's webinar, please feel free to drop questions in the chat. And if we don't get to them answered during the webinar, we'll be sure to get you answers via email. We'll begin with Lori. Lori, you're going to primarily focus on high school today. And I don't really want to ask specific questions of Lori. Rather, I want you to just tell us about all that you're going to do, that you're doing to support students in career exploration and career conversations. But before I begin, I want to share with something that you shared with Mitzi last week when you guys were speaking. And you said if a student can't see it, they can't be it. And so I really, that's so true. And it's really ironic that you are joining us today from an actual student experience field trip where students are seeing some of those industry positions in action. So we're really excited to hear about your approach to engaging high school students in meaningful career exploration and conversation opportunities. Thanks, Lori.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity today. And yes, I'm multitasking. I'm on a field trip at Churchill Downs with some marketing and business and IT students. And so I'll give you a little background. My role was really created out of a vision between new industry coming to our rural area, an expansion plan for a local community college, and a school system that saw an opportunity to take advantage of this growth and help our students. So my role is really a partnership between Nucor Steel, ECTC, and Meade County Schools, and they all pay part of my salary. So it's a true partnership there, true vested interest. So one of the things, I come from engineering background, and back when I started that, not a lot of women in that field, right? And I think it was really important that I was encouraged by teachers, and they believed in me that I could do those sorts of things. And then when I saw other women in those roles, it gives you that confidence. So again, that's where if you can't see it, you can't be it. I encourage students to always think outside the box too. There will be roles that aren't created yet, that they will be making very good money in 5 to 10 years. So thinking AI and all of that. So I know not every school district can have the role that I have. It's an extra set of hands, an extra person that can go on field trips like this, that can go do vertical alignment within the schools, the community, elementary, middle, all of that. So I wanted to give you some ideas today. I'm sorry I don't have slides, but I was afraid with technical issues, me being at Churchill Downs, I wasn't sure that was going to work. So I kept it simple. So I wanted to give you ways to easily incorporate career exploration and exposure in your school system. The first thing is take events that already exist or required tasks that you have to do. Okay. And again, I'm speaking from the high school standpoint. So take those events and include local businesses. So I'll give you some examples. We all know we have Perkins 5, CLNA, comprehensive needs assessment. Oh no, my lights are going off in here. We'll make this work. But anyway, some of those events, so that local needs assessment, what we had to do, what we did for that is we set up a Tech Connect event, and we rotate it between the 3 schools that we do our Perkins 5 with. And this year we had what was called the Amazing Race. So we paired up students from all 3 schools onto 10 different teams, and they had to go do technical stations basically, and they did complete a task. How we involve local business, we asked them to sponsor a station. And then that money was used to feed lunch to the students while we had our Perkins 5 advisory meeting. So that elevated just a meeting that is required to take place. It elevated that by including kids. They got to work in leadership roles and talk about Skills USA or any groups they were in, and they got to meet with local communities. So local businesses, they sponsored a station, and then they facilitated that station. So they would judge, or they would let them know they've completed it or help the students. So it was an interactive thing, and it became also an area where community businesses got to talk to each other. And it became almost like a chamber event where they got to bounce ideas off each other. We brought some businesses together at lunchtime, and they started talking. So it was a benefit for both the students and the businesses. So another one is student ambassadors. We know we all have to promote our career pathways. Well, we use student ambassadors for that. So they will go and do the tours of the different welding or carpentry or whatever pathway it is. And so that takes some of the pressure off the teachers and the staff by letting the students show some leadership that way. Financial literacy, we know we're all heading that way with a requirement for the state. I've reached out to a local bank, and they are doing a budgeting workshop, and we target certain classes to do that. And then I bring in local business. So next week we're having a Bound Credit Union financial budgeting workshop. They've done all the work for the financial piece of it. They have a workbook, and they're bringing their staff in to work in small groups. But we also have Boyd Catt coming in from industry. They're going to talk about their pay scale, their benefits, how those things work. And we have Baptist Health that will come in and talk to our medical students about their pay scale, how things work. They'll bring in doctors and different radiography people and different specialists, so that students can start to put themselves personally in those roles. Our advisory councils, we all have those as well when we're in a CTE world. And we elevate this by making it an event as well. So we usually get one of the PL days. We did this right before. We find the best time to do our fall one is right before election day. So we use that 11 to 1 time period. We work on, we have a menu and we bring in the local community and break out into advisory meetings. So I know some schools just do that as a meeting on your own within your pathway. We've found that it's beneficial when all the stakeholders can be together and bounce ideas off each other. So that's just a little bit about some events that have to happen anyway, and how you can incorporate other businesses and the students into those events. Other things, am I going over time? Am I good, Susan?
No, you're good. Keep going.
Okay.
Great.
So, invite local businesses for events that are short term, that are just a short, like a 2-hour session. Things like career fairs, we all do those. Mock interviews, and you can target certain kids for that. Specific presentations or activities. Where I find that I'm most successful with that is I coach the companies in how to engage students. I let them know the demographics of the students. These are business students. They're going to be interested in this portion of your business, certain things like that. So, or these are welding kids. They would like to know more about all the welding available in and how that's done in your facility. So it's really important that because we forget that people in corporate America or in industry aren't used to talking with students and knowing how to engage them. So I think that's a huge part of it in being successful with that. We have an industry Friday every month, and that's a simple way for businesses to come in and get their name out there, students to see women, men, different age people in roles. What we do for Industry Friday, we get t-shirts. CTE teachers wear t-shirts and jeans, and it may say Nucor, or it'll say Abound Credit Union, or whoever sponsors that Friday. One of our biggest success stories there is we have a former student and a senior student who have their own car detailing company. And they came to me this year and said, can we sponsor an Industry Friday? And I said, absolutely, we would love to do that. So they have a side business, and they made 25 shirts for our CTE staff. And we wore those, and social media, they are booked out now for like 3 months. So they've got some car detailing appointments all set up for themselves for a while. So those shirts were worth it for them. So that was a really big win for us to see our own students with their own business and then sponsoring stuff at school. So the third thing, plan targeted events based on demographics, interests, and talents. Nucor, we do a Ladies in Leadership on Women's Day in March, and we bring some ladies out from our school to Nucor, and they get to interact all morning with women in different roles at Nucor. It can be the general manager of Nucor. It could be an accounting person. It could be a production person, some of the welding and maintenance skilled people. So it's a variety, and the girls know about it now at school, and so they're always asking, can I get involved in that? So it's become a big event. We also host a manufacturing expo during manufacturing month. We just do it in our multi-purpose room. It doesn't take a lot of coordination other than guiding companies and saying we want something interactive. So Monument Chemical did one year a chemical reaction. They made bouncy balls. We had bouncy balls all over our vocational center. It was interactive. They got to talk instead of an awkward career fair. Sometimes it was, hey, what do you know about this chemical reaction? And it started some conversations with students. So Nucor does like a chocolate steel plate. We make it out of chocolate instead. And we talk to them about when you add sprinkles, it's an alloy of metal. It's similar. And so it's a great way for kids to start to see what's available for careers. That manufacturing expo started out with, we had 2 companies and we brought 400 kids through, and it's up to 10 companies now. And so we're starting to have to expand into our lobby and stuff. So, and the community's been very supportive of that. Manufacturing tours, when I set up manufacturing tours, I try to in the morning set up maybe a small manufacturing center, and then I have a larger one in the afternoon so that students can see the differences. And where I'm seeing some growth, I've been in this role for now, this is my 4th year. I'm starting to see kids not only talk about a role in manufacturing or a role in a certain career, I'm seeing them start talking about the culture they want to work in. So some of them are recognizing at this point, because they've been exposed to so much, that they want a small shop, they want to work individually, or they love the culture of a big organized, bright space assembly plant. So it makes me excited to see kids already working through some of those things that most people wouldn't until they're a little bit older. And lastly, involve teachers wherever possible. You know, this is not a role that just counselors can take on. It has to be everybody in the school. And so we really, we offer summer externships where teachers can come out and visit a facility. So this summer we had an English teacher, a math teacher, an engineering teacher, several others. We went to distilleries. We went to small manufacturing companies that make bullet casings. We went to large manufacturers that work right with Ford and GM. And it just helps those teachers to then relate careers to what they're teaching. And so that's been a big help as well. So I also think it's really important that we include ourselves in learning and trying something new. Last year I had one of the female welders taught me how to weld. So I put on all the gear and I actually did pretty good, she says. So I spent some time in there welding with her. And then I am deathly afraid of heights, but I had 40 teenage boys last week at Altech that said, Miss Collard, get in that bucket truck. I did it, and I went up really high. My knees might have been shaking when I got down, but I tried it, right? And so I think it's important that when we're asking kids to step out of their comfort zone, that we also do that and let them see that we're doing that. So I hope that helps you get some ideas for some things that can just start to snowball after some time. This event I'm at today, I didn't plan anything. This was all the business teachers, but they needed an extra hand. So I came along. So it snowballed, and people we have a culture of setting this up.
Now we all know who's watching the kids. Lori, thank you so much. And I know your position is unique in Meade County, but I know that our Chamber of Commerce in all of our cities and towns are excited to connect with schools. And sometimes it's just reaching out to them, if you don't have a Lori Collard position, can get a ball rolling and using their partnership. So thank you so much for sharing your ideas and just really hands-on. I really picked up on that culture part, that your kids are not only choosing maybe what they want to do, but the culture of the workplace. And as a mom of a 20-something-year-old, I know that's a very important part for our workers today, is the culture. Is it large? Is it loud? Is it small? And I think that's really cool that you're starting to see some high school kids being able to see that. So thanks
Sorry.
again, Lori. And thank you for taking time out of the field trip. We really appreciated that. We're going to move on now to Laura and Melissa from Nelson County. Thanks again, Lori. They've got a lot going on in Nelson County. Specifically, today they're going to share their Care and Connect program as well as their Power Up backpack. So the focus today from Nelson County, my understanding, is going to be at the middle school level. And so Melissa and Laura, thanks so much for being with us today and sharing your programs.
Hi. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of today's conversation. And I'll be kicking off some of our larger conversation around our work in Nelson County, and then Missy will be taking over from there. But within Nelson County Schools, we operate under the values of people, place, and purpose. And it's really the idea of uniting our students and staff with people and place and purpose, with the mission that our students will leave Nelson County Schools and be prepared to thrive in work and life. And as we think about our themes around people, place, and purpose, we have a focus of benefits for college, career, and community. And I believe much of today's conversation is really around what benefits do we want to provide our students and family as we think about the career components of our work. And when we think about that, we have a focus on ensuring that we're providing high quality and rigorous early college and career pathways, and that we're also helping create professional networks for our students, because we know in education we get really good at teaching content, but where we sometimes lose our focus is thinking about what ways are we connecting our students to people and places who can help them as they think about their transition. And within our school district, we currently have around 140 community partners who support our work in a variety of ways. And one of our initiatives as we think about college and career advising is the idea that every student that graduates from Nelson County Schools will participate in a work-based learning experience prior to graduation. And each year we're averaging around 88 to 90% of our students participating in those work-based experiences. But in addition to that, we also offer around 25 career pathways, originally started in that 9 to 12 area. Now we're extending to 6 to 8. So as we've thought about this expansion of these college and career pathways, a gap that we really started seeing was how well are we supporting and educating our students and families as they think about opportunities, and how do we expose them to all the opportunities that are available? So within our district, we have what we call our Care and Connect structure. And sometimes when I explain this to districts, I'll reference it's kind of similar to an advisor-advisee program, but it goes much deeper. So the priorities of Care and Connect are to really build a culture of caring for yourself, one another, in this place. And then a second priority of that work is to connect to your future story. And a big part of Care and Connect is really starting to focus on college and career advising, starting grade 6 and going through grade 12s. And one of the beauties of our Care and Connect structure is when a student enters middle school or they enter high school, they are with that same Care and Connect leader all the way through that school experience. So if I'm someone's Care and Connect leader, I have them as a freshman and I'm keeping them as a 12th grader, and I am connecting with them every day. And what you're going to learn about next, where Missy's going to take over, is our focus around college and career advising and how it relates to our mission and vision as a district and the benefits that we want to provide for our students. So Missy, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. First, I'll say thank you guys for allowing me to be here. I feel blessed really to be able to engage in this work with our counselors, our principals, our vice principals, our workforce leaders. And so what you see on the screen right now is what we call our Power Up backpack. And you see that it has three large components: our college and career pathways, mind-body community, academic achievement, and enduring skills. And we really went through a process to narrow it down to really these three categories where we think we can engage students really 360 all the way around. So I'm going to come back to the backpack, but I really wanted you to take a look at this image to kind of get an understanding of what we focus on during our Care and Connect time with students. I hit the down button and not this. I'll get used to it in a second. Okay. So what you see on this slide is really a quarter plan. And the way that this plan got developed a little bit, I can kick back to what Lori was talking about and really thinking about the things that we either have to do, and not that those things are bad things, but there are things throughout the year that we just have to attend to. And then thinking about our rituals and traditions and really the events and the experiences that we want students to have throughout the year. So we kind of use those to set up our map for the year. So for example, here would be our suicide prevention. And so we really use the fact that we have to have the suicide prevention lesson to help kids start thinking about taking care of their mind and their body. So that's kind of how our map played out here. So you'll see that there's a quarterly question. In this quarter, it just so happened to be, what is a thriving community? And then you're going to see little backpacks all the way down the screen there. So every time you see a backpack, that means that the student is going to engage in either identifying some reality based on whatever that question is for them in their backpack, or they're going to think about some action steps that they can take, some reflection that they may do. So again, when you see the backpack, that means they're engaging in one of those things. You'll also see that our map aligns to the three different components of the backpack. So where you see red, that means that the lessons that week are aligned to college and career pathways. Green is mind-body community. Yellow is our academic achievement and enduring skills. And then you'll also see some little school links on there. If you guys use school links or not, that's really a platform that we use as really a supplement for ILP, because we feel like the backpack really serves the purpose of the ILP. And then at the end of each quarter, you will see what we call Power Up Advising. And that's when our students in our Care and Connects, usually about 20 students, have the opportunity to engage in a one-on-one conversation with their Care and Connect leader. And it really revolves around the kinds of realities and reflections and goal setting that they've done during that quarter. So I'm not hitting the right buttons here. Sorry, you guys. So if looking back at that map, they're in 3-week chunks. And so I kind of wanted to show you guys what that looks like for a student. So our counselors really use this map as their guide, but have the autonomy to create the lessons in the way that best speaks to whatever is happening in their community, their community's language, etc. But across the district, 6 through 12, we all have the same kind of outcome. And so you'll notice in week September through 29th through October 3rd, how can I share my talents and interests with my community? You'll see that this is what a page in the backpack looks like. So it identifies for that leader and for that student. Here's where you're going to be engaging in your backpack this week. You're going to be engaging with school links to take some assessments to help you learn about some interests and skills that you may have. And then we can see at the end of the week, we're looking to see how many students, so if there's 20 in there, how many of those 20 students engaged in the school link assessments and the backpack reflection. And this is a way for the Care and Connect leader to really keep track and accountability for what is happening in that space, and for students as well, for us to see what we've already experienced and what we're going to be experiencing. And then you'll see at the bottom of this one in particular, this week was their Power Up Advising week. So just a way to put on display, like here's how many of the students have had this Power Up Advising conversation with their Care and Connect leader. So back to the backpack, you saw like how we have students engage in that backpack process. So I want to show you what those slides look like, and they can be a little intimidating. We really narrowed it down to 3 slides with which the kids engage. And you can ask Laura, we used to have like 42, and our amazing superintendent, Mr. West Bradley, was like, we can't put that much in there. It's going to be overwhelming. And now even looking at the 3 slides, it can be overwhelming. So good advice on his part. Thanks for that. So here is, I can't get it to go forward. Hold on. What's happening? Yeah. So this is the first slide in their backpack, and this really helps the student engage in a conversation with their Care and Connect leader around some of those basic skills of like communication, contribution, etc. And so this would allow the student to really drag this centerpiece around to, which of these skills do I most identify with? And then it allows them to see some gaps that they potentially have. So that's one of the ways that the student would engage with the Care and Connect leader. Sorry, that's my timer. That they would engage with that Care and Connect leader during their advising session. So this is what one of the pages look like, and you can see that that could potentially be a little overwhelming as a student looks at that for the first time. And so really, while yes, the student is looking at this whole page for the first time, in our lessons, we make sure that we point out, like, we're not worried about this whole slide right now. Right now, we are looking at only this community engagement piece. So for example, one of our rituals, traditions every year is that middle school students experience a rush where they learn about all of the different opportunities that they have to engage in their community through athletics, through clubs, organizations, etc. So they make a plan for that experience during their Care and Connect time. Then they go have that experience. And then when they come back, we want them to reflect on that experience. And so that lesson then points them to this slide in their backpack and what it is that we want them to engage in there. This is also going to support that one-on-one conversation that they have with their Care and Connect leader at the end of the quarter. So academic achievement, this really allows them to track over the whole course of their middle school experience. And so what this might look like more focused is we just completed our iReady assessment. We're going to fill in the scores that we got on that iReady. And really just to point out, we're not asking a kid to look at the slide, fill in everything. Everything has intention. There's a lesson or a week's worth of lessons that are involved leading up to where the student engages. And so lastly is the college and career slide, and you'll see there's opportunities at the middle school. We're not really calling them resumes yet. They're calling them their personal profiles. So there's a space for them to link their profile, to identify what their future goal is. But again, this is all done with intentionality, aligned to perhaps they just finished their assessments on school links, and they've really learned about some things that they might be interested in pursuing. Then we would engage them in this backpack process. So this is an example of where they engaged just yesterday. So they went on a field trip to a build-up field day that really exposed them to careers in construction. And we let them know before they went that they were going to meet some people. And we gave them their names and the kinds of experiences that they would have. But we also let them know when you come back, we're going to want you to reflect on this experience. And you're going to be identifying some of the experiences that you had with the exhibitors and what skills that you might have picked up from there, or like something that you really enjoyed about that. And we're going to want you to identify someone that you met, that you learned something from, that can be part of your network. And so this is what they engaged in the day after the trip to keep that stuff fresh. And again, to be able to have advising conversations with their Care and Connect leaders at the end of the quarter. So a lot of words on here, but this is what that process, that advising process might look like for a student. So you can imagine if your Care and Connect leader is having one-on-one conversations, that means the rest of the class really needs to be engaging and thinking about, okay, my power-up advising is coming. How can I prepare for it? So this is just maybe what you would call like a coaching card to prepare the student for that advising conversation. And then, of course, we always provide them for models. So what you see here is the top of each one of the slides in their backpack, and really us just providing some examples of what evidence and reflection might look like, what some most important next steps might be. We would not ask students to engage in every piece of this. It's really just providing models for what conversation they may be having with their Care and Connect leader. And then as a result of that, this is just a screenshot of one Care and Connect leader's advising note. So you can imagine if you were a sixth grader and you've had these conversations with your Care and Connect leader, that this is living, and that Care and Connect leader is going to really know the student by the time they are leaving them in 8th grade. Really understand what that student is interested in, really understand what that student struggles with. They're supporting them all along the way with the next steps that the student has created with that Care and Connect leader. And so each time they come back to the advising table, they're going to be able to go back to their notes and have a conversation with those students about how they're progressing, what supports they may need, and then be able to support that student through that. So really powerful when you think about being able to have those conversations over and again with students throughout their whole middle school experience. And this really is going to support in thinking about what their pathway looks like, whether that's signing up for classes their 7th grade year, because we are offering pathways and electives that would expose kiddos to careers. And then even thinking about 8th grade, like I've known you for 3 years now, this seems to be the pathway that you're on. Let's really create a schedule with intentionality that's going to allow you to have the experiences that you need to have to be able to make a solid decision about what that future career may look like for you. So finally, you'll see here, as I'm talking about scheduling in quarter 3, that's when we get really deep into that conversation. And that's really what Power Up Advising is all about during quarter 3, is thinking like what makes the most sense for you and your trajectory and what you're interested in now. So quarter 3 conversation, heavy in what are your next steps? What pathways do you want to pursue? And then I may end up kicking this back to Laura for her to talk about, but they're listed here for you to kind of take a look at the different opportunities that we provide for students to engage in different pathways, to engage in different elective experiences. And so when we talk about students having these conversations with their Care and Connect leaders, there's a lot to choose from. So we really want to support them in making the decision that feels best for them. And that was really fast. I'm out of breath. And I'm actually supposed to be with a group of students right now. So I can answer any questions that you may have for me in the immediate, Susie, but I think Laura will probably be able to support in finishing that up if necessary.
We did have a question from Ashley, but for the sake of time, we're going to answer that through email, Ashley. So we will get an answer for you from either Laura or Melissa from Nelson. I just have to say, as we transition to our next panelist, the word intentional, is really such a part of your all's program. And that, that really speaks to outcome based. You know what you're trying to get at the end of that, and so everybody's kind of working intentionally toward that. So Laura, was there anything, Laura, that you wanted to add before we go on to Brent?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Apologize. I have some kids waiting next door.
Well, they are the most important. So we thank you for participating today and sharing your amazing program with us. And again, we'll connect you to the question that was in the chat.
Perfect.
All right, so we're going to finish up with Brent Kidwell. Brent, again, is from Shelby County Public Schools. And Brent is going to talk a little bit about the CT Ambassador Program in Shelby County and how his CT ambassadors interact all the way down to the elementary levels. So we're excited for Brent to share that with us today. So Brent, you're on.
Perfect.
I saw you a minute ago.
Yeah, I'm here.
There he is.
I didn't know if the slide, I didn't have access to pull it back up. So,
Great.
um, thank you all for having me. I'm super excited to share all that we're doing in Shelby County Public Schools, with our ambassador program, and really going to kind of hit on all of the levels from high school to middle down to the elementary, and how this program kind of helps develop all of K through 12. So on the slide there in the middle, that's kind of our cohort of our CTE ambassadors for the year. So we have about 17 different CTE pathways, and about 3 to 4 students per pathway are nominated by their instructor. These are students that are not only good students, obviously, but also leaders within the classroom, right? That's really what we're looking for, because these students are not only going to be promoting their pathway, but they're also going to look to serve the community within the school and the district and outside of the school building. So the ambassadors, really what we want to focus on is not just them preparing for their own futures, but also helping shape the futures of students of the next generation of Shelby County Public Schools. So these ambassadors come from, we have 2 high schools, Shelby County High School and Martha Lane Collins High School. And then we also have an area technology center that serves our region. So there's even some students from Spencer County and from Eminence that are a part of that cohort. So I actually have a meeting with them after this. So I get to go and talk to them as well about our plans for November and December as we end out 2025. So to kind of talk about that, I want to start by focusing on how they are used at the middle school level. At the middle school level, we have just introduced the Paxton Patterson modules, and a lot of those modules align with the different pathways we offer at the high school level. So what we're going to look to try and implement this year is that these CTE ambassadors go down to the middle schools and help serve those students as they're working through their different modules. So for example, if I'm an animal science student in the agriculture pathway, when students are working on their projects in the Paxton Patterson modules for animal science or veterinary science, those high school students can go down and kind of give some pointers and help mentor those students that are working on their end of module projects, for the Paxton Patterson labs, because those labs kind of rotate every 2 weeks or so, and they move from one module to the next. So after Christmas, we're going to start to get these ambassadors into the buildings, helping mentor these students and helping them build really great projects at the middle school level, and sharing the insights they've gotten from the pathway, throughout some of their 3 or 4 years within that pathway. We're also looking at starting exhibitions. So exhibitions are going to be for CT ambassadors, and we're going to call it kind of an exhibition day. And the whole goal of this is that these ambassadors are going to share really keystone projects that they've worked on. They're going to share these with 8th graders so that it's more targeted for 8th graders, when they think about scheduling for certain pathways. If they see that they really enjoyed the Vex Robotics module at the Paxton Patterson Labs, and they get to see the engineering exhibition from those students, and they really connect with that, that gives them a little bit more insight as to, okay, this pathway might be best for me, and really give them insight into what they enjoy. Because again, the whole goal with this is they get to explore. You kind of see that on the t-shirts of the ambassadors. They get to explore all the opportunities that they have, to really kind of understand what fits them best as they transition from middle school to high school and then eventually into a career. So the real main focus here is going to be the elementary level. And this is kind of piggybacking off some of the great work that was done before me, because this is my first year in this role. I taught biomedical science, which is one of our CTE pathways at Collins High School. And some of my ambassadors got to be a part of this, where they got to go into elementary schools and give kind of like mini lessons per se, 20-25 minute lessons that were really engaging and fun for those students. And again, the whole goal here is that these elementary students see high school students come in. You know, their eyes get all wide when high school students show up in their classroom, and they get to really share some fun and exciting content with those students to, again, get them thinking about, okay, what are all the opportunities that I'm going to have on my educational journey throughout Shelby County Public Schools. So we're going to start rolling that out after Christmas as well, getting those students into elementary classrooms. I was actually talking with one of our elementary principals, and one of the things that I think Lori said at the beginning of this webinar is, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And that really kind of rang a bell in my head, because I was talking with one of our elementary principals, and they were actually using AI to show how elementary students, they would have their picture as a third grader, and then they would use AI to show their picture as a 30-year-old in whatever career pathway they want to be. So one of the ones that was shown to me was somebody who wanted to go into the military. So it showed them however many years, 25, 30 years down the road, of what they would look like as somebody in the military, right? Because again, we're getting students at this level to dream big, dream of what you want to do. And the goal with that, and when we're talking about targeting students with our ambassadors, is that if I'm a student who wants to go into the military, can I align them with a CT ambassador that's in our JROTC program, right? To help show, okay, you want to become you want to go into the Army, the Navy, whatever it is, here are the steps throughout high school and through college, and however else they can provide mentorship to those students to help them along that path. We also have some ambassadors with our buddy reading program. And I think that's one of the ones on the right here on the slide. Again, intentionalizing one-on-one mentorship with our ambassadors. And the ambassadors go in, they have these different books that speak to different career paths and getting kids to dream about what their next steps are going to be as they transition from elementary to middle and to eventually high school. And beyond the ambassadors, we also focus on our pathways at creating events and outreach projects that can really get all of the district involved and also our community involved. So I had a couple of them listed. I'm not going to go down the long list of different events that we have, because that would take forever. But some of the big ones that we offer that we actually just got finished up with is Ag and U Day. So Ag and U Day was one of the events that we hosted at our fairgrounds here in Shelby County, and it involved some of our CTE agriculture students from both Shelby County and Martha Lane Collins High School. So they got to walk around with the 5th grade students all across the district. So we had, oh gosh, 250, 300. I can't remember exactly what the number was. It was a lot of 5th grade students. And they got to kind of walk around with them, talk to them about all the experiences they've had in agriculture. And as they did that, they also got to go around to different exhibits from people in the community. So people in the community were a part of this as well. They got to express all the different things that are going on in agriculture in Shelby County. So those students got a lot of insight from not only the CTE students, but also from the community. Because again, trying to grow that passion and grow that insight for students at a really young age. We also have our teaching and learning pathway. They do their field experience, and that's the picture on the left here on the slide. They do their field experience where they go in and they create lesson plans, right? They're looking to become teachers after they graduate from high school. So they go in and they create age-appropriate lesson plans that they give to elementary students from all different grade levels, from K through 5. Some of them even go into the middle schools as well. And then the last one we have is our early childhood mentorship. This is where our early childhood pathways go in and they do their field experience as well, where they go in and they work through one-on-one mentorships with students. And a lot of those students in the early childhood also get certifications to do daycare services. I was actually talking with one of our FCCLA presidents from the early childhood pathway yesterday, and she was working in a daycare after school, helping students. And again, just showing that mentorship all across the district, from the students at junior and senior level all the way down to our earliest students that are even in our after-school daycare systems. So there's a lot of different ways that we in Shelby County are basically exposing and encouraging students to think about careers, to think about next steps as they transition throughout all of our different schools. And that is all I've got.
Thanks, Brent. That's great. It's just great to hear how our youngest students can start to dream and envision. And thank you for connecting that back to our very first panelist and saying, you know, if you can't see it, you can't be it. So allowing kids to see high school kids as those models is really powerful. So thank you so much. I want to thank all of our panelists today for just sharing some of their practice with us and how they're engaging students as young as kindergarten through middle school through high school in those important conversations about their futures and their strengths and areas of interests. We want to thank everybody for joining us today. As always, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to our emails. They'll be on the screen here in a minute, along with a QR code for evaluation of today's webinar. If you wish to receive ELA or FRISC credit, completing the evaluation will be kind of that avenue to getting that as well. We also want to remind everyone that next webinar is going to be on Talking Careers, how post-secondary educators can help guide student journeys. And that's on November 18th. So we're looking forward to seeing you then. So again, thank you for filling out the evaluation here, both through a link and QR code. And then we will send that ELA credit or FRISC credit to you after the webinar. Thanks again, everybody. And thanks again to our panelists. It's great to see our practitioners and to learn from each other.